Bye! My name is Josh Miller. I own Riverstone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our Duck Dogs podcast is spelled uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home. Welcome back once again to another episode of Duck Dogs, everybody. I am your host, Josh Miller, and let's be sure, as always, to thank our wonderful partners that make this show possible. So thank you to Eukanuba. Eukanuba Premium Performance Sport 3020 is what we feed at the kennel, along with the Puppy Pro. So no matter what age your dog is at home, you can be sure that there's a premium food to fit your dog's lifestyle. So check them out, www.eukanuba.com. Actually, and there's some really cool stuff we'll talk about here in a second that Eukanuba is going to be doing that you may want to be a part of. So thank you to Lucky Duck. Lucky Duck is your 5-star crash test rated kennel, both in the intermediate and large size. So no matter how big or small your 4-legged hunting partner is, you can be sure that you're traveling as safe as you possibly can. Thank you to Gun Dog Supply. Gun Dog Supply is your one-stop shop for all of your hunting and training needs. And I don't know if they're still running it, but they just ran a crazy sale, like $2.97 bumpers, like something crazy. So go check them out, especially as we head into training season. If you need training equipment, they are just a fantastic company and fantastic to work with. www.gundogsupply.com. Also, thank you to Kent Cartridge. Kent is your premium option for your shotgun shooting needs. And as we transition from the hunting to the training season, they also have blanks, shotgun blanks. So have the noise, not the danger of the shot. Makes a great training tool. So go check out Kent Cartridge in the blanks. Also, thank you to Sitka Gear. Sitka Gear is the option that we go with anytime we are outside, whether that's in the field hunting, going into turkey season like we're doing now, or just outside training, especially because Mother Nature still hasn't decided that it is springtime yet. It definitely keeps us out in the elements for longer and more comfortable getting our work done. www.sitkagear.com. And also, last but not least, thank you to Retriever Roadmap. Retriever Roadmap is your premium online option for training your gun dog at home. Step-by-step videos, fantastic communities. Now with the strike teams that you now have opportunities to go train with other people on different properties. Really cool stuff. So go check out www.retrieverroadmap.com. Well, I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I am, but I'm playing major catch up. So I had 2 kids homesick with hand, foot, and mouth, which I didn't even know was a thing until they got sent home last Friday. And so I've had them home all week. Now, I adore and love my kids, but Whitney has multiple litters of puppies on the ground right now, so she's running ragged. I mean, it's unbelievable. If you're a parent, you get it. Like, you love them to death, but it's like it completely throws off your routine, and now I feel like I'm trying to juggle back in a week's worth of work here in a couple days. So it's good that they're healthy. It's good that they're back at school. It's good of all that stuff. I'd never heard of hand, foot, and mouth. Like it seems like when I talk to people about it, either they have no idea what it is, or it's like, ooh, that's not good. I don't know. I just heard from somebody today that it's kind of like chickenpox. Once they have it once, they don't get it again. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't looked into that, but it was not fun. I was covered in vomit numerous times. It's just not fun. So I'm happy, very happy to be back kind of in my normal routine here and getting caught up and back in the studio here, recording another episode. But I did some traveling here the week before this whole debacle with the illnesses and the kids. And I have a story I want to share with you from that. And to me, it was a pretty feely type story. And then I want to also talk to you a little bit about finding your dog's game. I'm going to kind of go into what I mean by that. But first, let me kind of tell you this story that was pretty impactful to me. I've only told it to a couple people, but it was one of those things that just kind of well, you'll get it after I tell you. So I was asked by Bass Pro Shops to come down and speak to a new store that they have opening in St. Louis. Beautiful store, but it was kind of a last second request. And what I do is I go down and I just train the employees on products. Like, so of course my area of expertise is the dog area. So I do dog teachings. What is an e-collar for? What is a bark collar for? What kind of dummy does what? Like all this kind of stuff. And so it was really cool. You get to meet a lot of neat people. I met a few guys that had kind of some unique dog backgrounds that were going to be employees of that store. The store is not open yet. I think they're hoping for sometime in May. I think they were shooting for, but just a gorgeous store, really pretty inside. They were doing a cool job. But because it was a last minute request, I could not get a rental car. So got my flight booked, got my hotel, could not get a rental car. And I don't know about you, but like I just don't like Ubering everywhere. Like I don't know, it gets super expensive. I feel like one Uber ride is like what I could have an entire day with my own car. If I have to Uber everywhere, right? Like Uber to the store, Uber to eat, Uber to just like I don't know. Like I just find it somewhat inconvenient unless you're in a place like Vegas where you just have to. Of course, you can walk, but I don't know. It's just not my thing, I guess. So I elected to stay at a hotel that was really near the airport, the St. Louis airport. And that way, when I flew in, I always arrive. Anytime I have a speaking engagement, I always arrive the day before, even if I don't have to speak until the afternoon, because of the fear of what happens if there's a delay, if a cancellation. Like punctuality is a major thing for me. So show up the night before. I speak that afternoon, kind of later towards the evening is when I finish up, spend that next night, fly out first thing the next morning. So, a hotel close to the airport was kind of convenient because it had a shuttle to and from the airport. I would have to take an Uber into the store, but I didn't have to actually Uber anywhere else. There was a restaurant right there on site, really easy and convenient. It just worked. So, I fly in, and it was a really nice hotel. But if you've been around the St. Louis airport before, it's not a nice area, and I kind of knew that going into it, right? But when I got to the hotel, they had no breakfast options in the lobby. They had lunch and dinner, but no breakfast. And so the first thing I did is I got into my room, opened up the windows, kind of looking outside, and I saw a Waffle House that was down the street, probably about half mile away. Easy walking distance. So I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'll just do that for breakfast, right? So the next morning, I get up, get my workout done, walk to Waffle House. And I get to Waffle House, and it was, I was certainly out of my element as far as, I'm a country boy, right? I've got my cowboy boots on. It was very different, right? Like not what I'm used to here in Western Wisconsin. Very different vibe, very different feel. But I like that. Like I really enjoy getting around, whether it's new cultures, new areas, new ways of life. It just makes me look at things through a different lens, and that's exactly what happened. Okay, so I set up. If you've ever been to Waffle House, you've been to kind of the bar, type area that they always have that you can watch everybody cook, and that's where I sat down. And I'm sitting there watching and just kind of observing. Okay. Now, as I'm looking around, I'm noticing a few big things. Okay. The one that stood out to me It started with this cook. So there's a cook making eggs, making, sausage, bacon, everything else, right? And he's singing. He's singing basically so the whole restaurant could hear him. He is genuinely happy. And it kind of made me stop and think, I'm like, gosh, like, I know you're not getting rich, cooking breakfast here, right? Like, but you're happy. Then kind of started looking around. I saw a family that I know I'm judging here, but I mean, honest to God, did not look like they could afford the $3 waffle, right? And they're smiling and joking. They're happy. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm a next level person. I am a go, go, go. I am knock one objective, one goal off, hit the next one. Don't slow down. What's next? What's next? What's next? And there was like this huge sense of appreciation in a sense of appreciating what you have. That is something I really struggle with. But as I'm looking around, I'm watching everybody. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have so much to be thankful for that I take for granted. So I walk back to the hotel and I call Whitney, my wife. I call her. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this was a very spiritual moment. Like I needed this. I needed this today, right? And anyways, I go back, do my thing as far as speaking at the store, get all that done, get back to the hotel, have dinner. And I'm sitting there at dinner and I just cannot stop thinking about that cook. Like it just was like, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this. And I'm like, kept replaying. So I get back to my room, take my phone, my wallet out of my pockets, put my wallet on my nightstand. And in my wallet, I really don't travel with much cash. But I had $100 bill in my wallet. And I looked at that and I said, I'm going back to that Waffle House tomorrow and I'm giving that $100 to that cook. Like there was that big of an impact, to me. So get up the next morning, same thing. Do my workout, get done, go to Waffle House. I was a little later this morning than I was the morning before because I was trying to kill time before I had to get to the airport. So I get over there, way less busy. I walked in and there was a couple, what I assume is a couple, in one of the booths. There was one older gentleman sitting at the bar area. I sat in the same spot of the bar that I was the day before, and there was a mother and son on the other side of the restaurant, and that was it. So much quieter than the morning before. And I walk in, and right away, like I'm looking, like the cook's not there. And I was devastated because I'm like, that's the whole reason I wanted to come back here. And so I don't know why, but this just hit me. The waitress came up to me and asked what I wanted. I said, look, I would like to pay for everybody's meal that is in this restaurant right now. And she looks at me, she goes, why? I was like, I just want to. And she kind of gave me this look, and I was like, look, like, here's $100 bill to get you started. Like, I'm for real. I'm not screwing around. And she's like, all right, and kind of goes off, and I order my food. Of course, I get the All-Star at Waffle House, and I'm eating, and I'm kind of noticing. She'd go up and tell people. Now, I should tell you where this is. Okay. So do you remember Ferguson, Missouri, where there's like a lot of the looting and stuff all over the news? That's where this is, right on the edge of what's called Berkeley and Ferguson. And I was to the point, when I was getting driven home by the Uber driver from the store, he's like, you were in a rough area right here. Obviously, I didn't experience this, but it kind of puts it into context a little bit. So I'm waiting, I'm like, kind of watching, and the waitress goes up and goes, actually, the gentleman at the bar took care of it. And they're like, oh, okay. So the couple gets up, leaves. Okay. Doesn't say anything to me, but that's not why I did it. Right. I didn't need a thank you. Like, I just wanted to do it. Same thing. The older gentleman, said, oh, he actually took care of it for her. And he goes, oh, okay. And walks out. Okay, no big deal. So I'm eating my eggs, and the lady with her son, who is to my right, all of a sudden I get a tap on the shoulder. I turn to the lady, and she goes, can I give you a hug? And I was like, yeah, and so she does. And she kills me. I can't remember the kid's name, but she goes, it's his birthday today. And, so I asked him how old he's turning, 4, and, really kind of a quiet, respectful, kid. And she goes, I gave him the choice of, do we go get you a present or do we go out to eat? And he wanted to go, and she's like, he's such a good kid. Like, he wanted to go out to eat so we could do something together. And I was like, oh, that's great. And she looked at me and she's crying, and she's like, now I get to do both. And then, of course, so I start crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, so this is like, again, just appreciation. Like, I needed that, and maybe you do too. Maybe you needed to hear this, because there are things we always like. I'm guilty of this on this show. I talk next level all the time. I talk about improvement all the time. I talk about bettering all the time. But I don't know if I have ever talked about appreciating what you have. Like, we can all look at our weak points. We can all look at, hey, here's where my dog can get better. Here's what I wish they were doing. Here's what I can't get them over. Well, how about appreciating what they do well? How about appreciating that they are healthy? How about appreciating that they are not aggressive? How about appreciating, they're struggling with double marks and it's just so frustrating, but he kills double marks or triple marks, but he kills double marks every time. Like, sometimes just stepping back and appreciating what you have completely puts this in a different light, completely changes your mindset. I cannot tell you why, but there was a reason. I believe that God put me in that Waffle House the day before, so that I could come back and have that kind of a moment and impact somebody else's life that next day. And what this did for me was appreciation. I came back home, and for probably the first time in my life, I took a breath and loved my own property, loved my own house, loved whatever we were doing. I struggle with that, to the point that when I have a great financial advisor. She's fantastic, but she knows that, like, she asked me, she's like, at what point are you happy? Like, at what point are you like, okay, that was the goal. Okay, we're done. Guys, one of my biggest fears is I'm not going to find that. I'm going to continue to push, continue to go, continue to the next level, continue until I die, and I will never have that satisfaction of, I made it. That moment in that Waffle House was maybe what I needed to be able to have that someday. So, as you guys know, if you follow along with this at all, you know that I like to share some of these stories with you as they happen. That was an impactful one for me. Yeah, it really was. Okay, now I want to talk to you about finding your dog's game. Okay, so what do I mean by this? I have had the same conversation in multiple different contexts over the last 2 weeks, and this could come from a competing standpoint. This could come from a hunting standpoint. This could come from a number of different ways. Okay, so let me kind of paint the picture for you. I have 2 different examples that I will use. The first one is from a competing standpoint. A good friend of mine, he ran what are called cover dog trials forever. Okay, and when I say, I shouldn't even say forever. He ran them for 1 or 2 dogs, and was on his 3rd dog, English Pointer. And cover dog trials are grouse trials. They are in the woods. It's closer working or ranging, and it's on wild birds, which I think is super cool. But he has a current dog now that this dog, like, he was just struggling with this dog this last season. He's like he wants to run too big. He wants to range too big. It's so frustrating. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, man, like maybe that's not his game, right? Like, if you say he wants to run too big, like, go put him on horseback and go run horseback trials. He's like, I'm a grouse hunter. I don't do that. Okay, well, you may not, but your dog seems to be built for that. That's what I would do. Go put him in the game that he is going to excel at. Long story short, he ended up running him in a trial and got a placement the first horseback trial he ran in. He has now won, I think, 2 or 3 horseback trials. And I just talked to him here a couple weeks ago, and he's like, man, like, I wish I wouldn't have been so stubborn about that when you said it, because this dude is excelling at this. Like, I love this. It is fun. We're both having fun. He's in his element. He's enjoying this. Yeah, because it wasn't built for it. Just like field trial washout, okay, for retrievers. Just because he's a field trial washout doesn't mean that he's a bad dog. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have the talent. Doesn't mean he doesn't have a motor. Doesn't mean he doesn't have the things. It means he doesn't have it for that game. He could still run hunt tests. He could be a duck dog. He could be whatever it is, right? What is your dog's game? On the other side of it, from the hunting aspect, one of the things that I've noticed, or I talked to a guy, super nice guy, he's actually getting a puppy from me. And the reason he's getting a puppy from me is because, Cody, if you're out there, hopefully you don't mind me sharing your story, because his dog whines really bad and is anxious. So it has like anxious energy. And he's like, I just can't stand it in the duck blind. Okay. But they love the dog. The dog's not going anywhere, part of the family. And so he's getting this new puppy that is hopefully going to be built for what he needs. So he's like, so what do I do with this dog? Okay. Well, just because she's not built to be a duck dog, like, what about pheasant hunting? What about upland hunting? He's like, man, like, I haven't really done a whole lot of it. Like, maybe I could, but, I was like, well, it seems to me like just because she's not the ideal duck dog does not mean that she is a bad dog, right? It just might not be her game, right? Go find her game. Go be an upland dog. Like, he mentioned shed hunting. Well, can I shed hunt? For sure. You don't have to be whiny, right? You can be out there working. What's interesting to me is that sometimes we look at this and it's like we try to force it, right? So if I was, I don't know, if I was 5'8" and I was like, well, I want to be a basketball player. Okay, well, you can try, right? But your buddy that's 6'5" is probably more built for this, right? So, maybe I'm trying to think of a short sport, bull riding. Okay, you don't see many 6'5" bull riders, right? You're built for that game. It's really interesting. I think this is ego. I think this is a lot of because we are always giving our dog direction. The dogs are always doing what we tell them to do. That we just get these dogs. We're like, we're going to force this. Like, this is what you are going to do. And like one of the things I talked to you with Cody was, you could try to make that dog. You could pull your hair out for the next 3, 4, or 5 years, and force trying to get that dog to be a duck dog as far as not whiny, not anxious, but if that is who she is, you are going to continue to be frustrated. You're not going to have the relationship with her that you could have. She is not going to live a happy life because she's not playing the right game. I think this is a really interesting topic because not everybody, like Cody handled that so well, because like, yeah, like I could do that. I I could go to a game farm, a couple times a year, maybe like 6 to 8 times a year, and like get her out and do that. And like, that's her thing, that this new puppy will be my duck dog. So they're not taking reps away from each other. They each have their own thing. I can have that one-on-one time with both of them. Like, that is fantastic. That is awesome. But sometimes it's hard to say that. Sometimes it's hard for someone to come to that realization and be like, oh, okay, maybe I need to do something different, right? We look at this with breeding a lot, right? So everybody, when sometimes people are like, gosh, like there's so many breeders doing different things, right? Because everybody has their game that they like, right? So I'll give an example. I personally, this is just a personal thing. If you do this, it's not a big deal. I don't like tournament hunting, where you're speed hunting, right? You're going through the field as fast as you can, shooting the birds as fast as you can. I can't remember if it's like 3 or 4 birds you got to, shoot and retrieve. Like, to me, it's like, I don't care about how fast you're going. I want you to be under control. I want a good delivery to hand, not a little tug of war at the end, just get out of your mouth so that the timer stops. That's what I want, right? And I know people that have had, litters of puppies where they take the fastest dog and they try to make even faster dogs. And it's like, okay, well, that dog those puppies likely are going to have to go to homes that's what they want, right? You put those puppies that were bred for that in a hunter's home that is going to waterfowl hunt a couple times a year, and you want a chill companion, probably not the right dogs, because they're playing a different game than what you are. This is why finding the right breeder is so important. Certain dogs are just built for certain things. Not every dog is created equal. Not every Labrador, not every Chesapeake, not every English setter, not every dog is created equal, even inside the breeds. So, first question is, what game do you want to play? Try to find the right dog for your game. But sometimes you have to switch it up. It's not a fun thing, but I think it's a neat observation, neat idea. It is kind of exciting tomorrow. So this is Friday. Tomorrow we have our first ever, at least in this area, strike team meeting. So if you missed the last episode or the episode before, I can't remember which one, I talked about the new strike teams inside Retriever Roadmap that give you an option to, or an opportunity rather, to train with different people, different environments, different properties. And I'm really excited about this one because Eric Shuddy, who some of you guys have kind of followed along with Retriever Roadmap, know I've gotten to know over the last couple of years, which has been fantastic. So he's leading the one in our group. So I have a property all set up for him, and I'm going to go participate. I'm going to love this. Like, of course, I'll be helping guide it and set it up and everything like that. But I'm going to love this because it's going to allow me to just kind of connect, with more people. But I'm really excited to see where this thing goes. I think there's 22 members so far of just this club, and dogs of all levels. And what's going to be fun for me about this is that everybody has been at a different point or different speed. They're training their own dogs, right? So I just love that. I love kind of seeing what people are doing and where they're at and what I can do in, of course, a limited amount of time to help get them on, hey, go home and do this, work on this, practice this. And then we'll come back and apply it here in a week or two. So fun stuff. I'm really excited for that. I'm a little disappointed I didn't know this, but apparently the United States government has had apparently a new thing just in the last week or so, or a couple weeks, is a mandatory quarantine on European citizens coming into the U.S. And why I say that this is frustrating is because next week, or 2 weeks from now, I was supposed to be going down to Florida with one of my good friends from Scotland to take him fishing in Florida. And now with this mandatory 5-day quarantine, we're not going to be able to do that. And so I don't know. Apparently COVID is still a thing, you guys, if you didn't know that. I guess I kind of forgot that it was the thing. It is still a thing. And so I'm not sure what we're going to do yet there, but I'm hoping to document some of it, whatever we end up doing. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. And I'm going to, I actually have a lot of things I have to get ready for the strike team meeting here tomorrow. And then just some things to kind of catch up and dig out of after having the kids home all week. So hope you guys have a great weekend. Hopefully that appreciation story hits you like it hit me, because it was a pretty big deal for me. But yeah. All right, guys, have a great week. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to DUK, because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.